Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NBA center Ryan Hollins.
Couple pump fakes, leans in, shot blocked by Ryan Hollins. Hollins sent that into the third row.
6 rebounds and 8 assists.
Hollins climbs the stairs.
Down the floor. Ryan Hollins! He is the high jumper!
That's what I want to see. Give me some gunpowder and throw the hammer down.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Ric Bucher.
Ric Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Ric Bucher. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report. You can find me on Twitter at Ric Bucher. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. And he is Ryan Hollins. You can find him on Twitter at The Ryan Hollins. Instagram, simply at Ryan Hollins. And you can see him on ESPN, Clippers broadcasts, and hear him on NBA radio. Ryan, you are on the road once again. I assume you were in Atlanta. Do I have that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So my guesstimation is that I don't know how much of the tournament you watched, but we had a couple of upsets. Murray State beating Marquette, John Morant getting a triple-double. We'll talk about that. But it seems like the thing that has captured everybody's interest is an exchange between Tom Izzo, coach of Michigan State, and his freshman Aaron Henry, where he kind of went after him, chewed him out, and was very demonstrative about it. Had to be calmed down by the players on the team, and a lot of people have spoken out in negative fashion. Michigan State did beat Bradley. Izzo did address it afterward. Why don't we play what Izzo had to say about that exchange?
When you're a freshman now, at this time of year, you don't make mental mistakes on things that when we're telling a guy which way he goes or not running back or, there were some things Aaron didn't do a very good job of. And yet, you know what? Happened, I did get after him, and he did respond, and he did make a couple big buckets, and he did make some big free throws. But that's not good enough. This is one and done time, The my bads are out the window. If they're my bads because that team played better or that guy played better, if it's my bad because I decided to jog back instead of sprint back, then it is your bad, and you're going to hear about it.
All right. So with all that said, first question I have for you, Ryan, is what's your experience as far as a coach coming after you? Who's the coach that you remember that chewed you out to the level that we just saw or just heard Tom Izzo go after Aaron Henry in their game against Bradley?
Any coach I had worthwhile. Any coach in my career that I've ever had that was worthwhile, that cared about me, that was for me. You know what? My college coach, we were a little estranged. We're good now.
Ben Holland?
Yeah, we're a little estranged. We're good now, though. But if you can't handle that, man, play another sport. Seriously, play another sport.
Yeah, and to be clear, Aaron Henry's not the one speaking out on this. It's a lot of people from the outside. And that's the problem that I have, Ryan, because I guarantee you the people speaking out on it haven't watched Tom Izzo coach this team all year long, have not been in their practices, do not know the relationship between Tom Izzo and Aaron Henry or Tom Izzo and the rest of his team. And I thought what was very telling is that Aaron Henry, when they were in the huddle, still felt like he could respond to Izzo. And Izzo got heated and went back at him. Players were stepping in, holding Aaron Henry or advising Henry in terms of to chill. Guys were grabbing Tom Izzo and saying chill or trying to mollify things. To me, that speaks volumes about the relationship within this team. And that you can't go off of one thing that you find offensive or shocking and suggest that there's something wrong.
Little man, if Coach Izzo has won a national championship before, of late, Michigan State has been disappointing in the tournament. And the man knows more he's forgotten more basketball than 99% of us will ever know. So if he's going off, and especially on a freshman, it's because there's something he's told this kid repeatedly that he's doing. And this could be an experience that helps change the dynamic of the team. They could have a shot to go all the way because there's obviously a sense of urgency that I'm missing, a lazy habit, something that he had been told over and over and over and over again. And unfortunately, that's the way certain players respond. The great coaches know who to do it with.
Right.
Now, Rick, there are some bully coaches that just want to throw their weight around, that will scream at the little guy, that will get on the wrong person, my way or the highway. Every player that I've ever known that has played for Coach Izzo, when I ask the question, is he too much? What's he like? How do you feel about him? They love that man like family. They go back. They cheer for him. They're thankful. Life-changing experiences.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff is deep. But there are some punk coaches, and I'm going to call them that. There's some punk coaches that do that. And it is an issue. But clearly, if the kid is responding, he's doing it with the right kid. And you don't yell at every kid like that. And that's part of having experience.
Sure. That's part of coaching. Here's the other part. It's not as if he yelled at him, buried him on the bench, and didn't play him again. The kid never actually came out of the game. And he played down the stretch, and they had a mismatch that they wanted to take advantage of, and they were feeding Aaron Henry the ball. This is the part, and I know that, and I said it the other day on the Wednesday podcast, that sometimes I sound like the grumpy old guy who's complaining about the way it was. First of all, I don't think I'm that old, and two, I'm generally not grumpy. But I have to say, what? What was that?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Wow. Here's the thing. You can't judge like a single moment and say, oh, that offends me. That's wrong. That shouldn't happen. When you don't understand the dynamics of sports, there are going to be heated exchanges. There's going to be passion. It's a matter of how it's done and what's done around it. And yeah, you're right. And I've seen it with what's going on with my daughter's team right now, her high school coach. And there are parents up in arms, there are players up in arms. They don't like being held accountable. And there's a number of the players play for an AAU team, not the same accountability. They love playing for the AAU team. High school team, they want the coach fired. And I'm looking at it, and again, there are the ins and outs of practices and games, and I've viewed all of that, and I've talked to the coach. Is she tough? Yeah, she's tough. But is she honest? She is honest. Could she mollify her ways in some ways? Sure. But we are in a day and age now where we view from the outside and we see a moment and then we say, oh, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let's examine what exactly happened between Tom Izzo and Aaron Henry. Did Aaron Henry stop playing? Did Aaron Henry not perform after that? Did Michigan State, and not that winning is the cure for all, Bobby Knight won, and Bobby Knight, I don't know that Bobby Knight was always Bobby Knight, but he got to a point where he was a bully, where it was too much, as great as he was. So winning a championship to me isn't necessarily the be-all and the end-all, or that is the justification for the action. But if you really examine what happened between Aaron Henry and Tom Izzo, was it shocking for me when I first saw it? I was like, whoa. He is lighting him up. But when I saw how the team reacted and how Aaron Henry reacted, I thought, okay, this isn't the first time. And these guys all feel like they have a stake in this team and that they can talk to Coach Izzo So I look at it and I feel people that are suggesting that there's something wrong with what transpired are seriously misguided. They don't understand. Honestly, they don't understand sports, because that is going to happen. We could go the Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, Golden State, same thing. I just, it's the old lament. We've all become way too sensitive. I think we've all become too judgmental. We've all become snap, jury, judge, and executioners.
Look, man, I played for 9 different coaches in the NBA, had my share of coaching experience. I take the course for the NBA, the NBA Top 100 Coaching Clinic. It's an intimate relationship that I have. I could be coaching right now. I choose not to because the time obligations. And Rick, I'm the guy to kind of go all in on it. And there are 2 different types of coaches. When you coach, there's a lot of psychology to it. If you're just the screamer, your messages fall on deaf ears to your team. Right. But if you are a guy who is very calculated, when you scream, when you go off, when you like something, when you don't like something, how you respond is how you get the most out of your team. Because now they are on their toes when you speak. Now they don't just tune out the messages. Because all you do is scream. They're going to tune you out.
Sure.
Nothing about Tom Izzo has made me feel that way, or that I've heard about him. And what's funny, I'll share this. We played Michigan State. We lost pretty bad to them at home, and we put some hands on them before. Dude, I remember coming in, and I walked by shoot around for Michigan State, and I saw something I never saw before. Coach Izzo is in there coaching, and for shoot around, normally you run about 50, 60%. You run through the plays. Mm-hmm. These dudes were running the wings like gazelles. They were in a full-on game sprint for shoot around. And at that time, Izzo was pumping out pro after pro after pro. They had to have been the hardest playing team, if not still, in college basketball. There's a reason why those guys love him. There's a reason why Michigan State has had its successes. And you cannot change. But there's something to be said for a guy that's a screamer, that's a yeller, which is not Tom Izzo. But if there's no method to your madness, bro, you're just screaming and yelling, or you're too soft, this ain't for you, because there's a lot of psychology behind the scenes of coaching.
Well said. All right. One of the other developments from the first day of the tournament is that John Morant said hello to all of those who weren't paying attention to John Morant and were simply on the Zion Williamson train. John Morant led the Murray State Racers to the 12th-seeded Murray State Racers to a upset 83-64 over the 5th-seeded Marquette Golden Eagles. He had a triple-double in doing it, 17 points, 16 dimes, 11 rebounds. He also had 7 turnovers. He only took 9 shots in the game. And this was, that score doesn't sound close. It wasn't close. They dominated, and he dominated. And you and I have talked about it, and you didn't have to see this performance. We both know who John Morant is. But there's been so much hype around Zion Williamson. People, when I suggested that he's not necessarily the number 1 pick, people lost their minds. I still stand by that. Depending on who gets the number 1 pick, I think you take a long, hard look at John Morant. And I wonder how you feel about who is going to have the easier transition or make the bigger impact sooner, if you will, at the next level.
Well, John Morant, he definitely made a good case for himself. Why? Because Zion is a guy who has the potential, and obviously it's the P word. It's a big potential, but with the size and frame and potential skill set that he's going to have to develop, you put him on the cusp. He's comparable to a Barkley, a LeBron James, a Blake Griffin. We're putting him on pretty high. We'll say, safe to say, he's very Blake Griffin Sean Kemp-esque right now. Right now.
Yep.
And we're saying with some work, some training, some discipline, some crazy. If he's crazy enough to work this hard, we'll put him on a Barkley, LeBron James type of scale. That's not Ja Morant. But what Ja Morant does translates perfectly to the NBA. What I mean by I say that? He has skills right now that come at a premium. What are they? Shooting, passing, length, ball handling, playmaking, creativity. The one thing Ja does really well, and this is at a premium even more than just three-point shooting, is three-point shooting off the bounce. If you can shoot a deep three off the bounce, because you've seen it, a couple of these threes are super deep, off the bounce, you have a chance in the NBA to be very successful. Why? Rick, you can line me and you up, and we could probably go 7 of 10, 8 of 10 from the three-point line, NBA three. I'm giving you a lot of credit here, Rick, but come with me now. But a guy who can go full speed and the defender go under a pick and roll, and you force the defenders to go over the top and trail the pick and roll, that's now a problem.
Yeah, look, size-wise or from a physical standpoint, Morant is not as nearly impressive as Zion. Zion is a beast. Morant is listed as 6'3", 175. That would be an instant red flag probably during the time that you played. It would be like, that dude's got to put at least 15, 20 pounds on or he's not going to survive the NBA. I don't know if it's quite the same way now. But the one thing I can say is I look at Morant and I know instantly he's going to make other guys better. He can get his, but he's going to make other guys better. Zion is going to get his without question. But when you get to the next level and you have these physical freaks, and as you mentioned, like the skills need to be developed, I don't know how much he's going to make other guys better right from the start. Can he get there? Absolutely. But right from the beginning, is Zion, is everything going to tilt towards Zion where the game's going to get easier? And if it tilts toward him, it's a little bit like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like the physical gifts are just blow you out of the water, but until you know what to do with them, until you know how to take advantage of the rest of your team when the defense keys in on you, you're going to be handicapped. And not to rain on the Zion parade, but I could see that happening initially when he gets to the NBA.
Well, Zion doesn't know how to use his body right now. To be straight up, he doesn't have any footwork, doesn't know how to use his body. But what he has is what I like to call wiggle. When you got that wiggle, he can cross you over. He can hit you with an in and out.
Live body.
And sink his hips and explode into a slam dunk. You can't teach that. I can sit in the gym with you for hours, send you to all these trainers, all these specialist Ricks.
Yep.
Right. And they can't give you that wiggle that Zion just kind of naturally has. He has the potential to really be able to handle the basketball like a point guard. But Ja Morant is also a polished product right now. But that's intriguing. If Zion knew how to use his body right now, Rick, he would be averaging 40 a game. He would be averaging 40 points a game right now.
Yeah.
Of, going hard turn to the middle till they double team or until they stop him and spinning back. And even through a college double team, he'd probably putting his shoulder behind somebody and just scoring every time. Yeah.
That is very well said. So you bring up an interesting point about Ja and being polished. Like how much further do you think he can grow?
It's interesting. He reminds me of a little bit of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with his length and kind of his frame, but he's got a different type of pop. He plays with a different type of athleticism and pace that Shai plays at. Now he's gonna slow walk you like a grown man to the rim, turn and shoot over you. Ja's gonna slow walk you, sell his 3-point shot, explode and do a windmill dunk in your face. And you saw him stuff it in my man's face last night. There's a big difference between the way those two play, but very similar in their pace, their understanding. You don't see Ja playing 1,000,000 miles per hour
Right.
That's what these scouts are salivating from. He's not just raw like Zion. He's just blocking shots, rebounding, running. He's doing the dirty stuff. Ja's running a team, bro, and he's reading defenses.
Yeah.
So now his athleticism magnifies. It's interesting. Last night on Now or Never, ESPN's Now or Never, we compared Magic Johnson to Jerry West. A little scuffle they had, or kind of subliminal words exchanged from Jerry West. But Jerry West understands basketball and angles and pace and that type of stuff. So when you look at Ja Morant, those qualities, Rick, translate. Even if the kid was athletic or not, it would translate. Why did Luka translate so well? Luka's still not the greatest athlete. He's quicker than you think, but he understands angles, and he knows how to make you, respect his jump shot, trail his left hand, trail his right hand, and he gets buckets.
Right. Before we leave the NCAA tourney conversation and move on to the NBA, I have to alert you guys. Look, March Madness, that's where some upsets are not really upsets because they're so predictable. Minnesota over Louisville. I don't know if my friend Ryan had that, but I know a lot of people had it. Murray State over Marquette. I saw that coming. A lot of people saw those coming, but not a lot of people took full advantage. And I'm not talking about winning first-round points in a bracket challenge. I'm talking about putting a few bucks on a game you really feel good about. And the place to do that is mybookie.ag. They've been in business for years. They're reputable, and best of all, they pay out fast. They're even going to give you money to bet with. I'm not kidding. You put $50 into a mybookie.ag account and use the promo code Bucher, and they will instantly make it $75. That's right, a 50% bump for whatever you deposit, all the way up to $1,000. Imagine $1,000 instantly becoming $1,500 to work with just by putting my last name, Bucher, in the promo code. Chances are you're already looking to make a few bucks off the NCAA tourney with your bracket, even though picking a perfect one is damn near impossible. But knowing how a particular matchup will go, we've all got at least one, if not a few of those. So why not make an instant profit from that knowledge at mybookie.ag? Guaranteed it will make any game much more exciting to watch and way more fun to celebrate when it's over. So go check out mybookie.ag, and don't forget to use my name, Bucher, Bucher, in the promo code for your 50% bonus. All right. Kobe Bryant did a lengthy interview with Mike Greenberg on ESPN about a variety of subjects, and there were two that caught my interest. The first was Kobe talking about how he doesn't care about the greatest of all time conversation. Here's what Kobe had to say, or at least a snippet of it, to Mike.
How important is that to you, the way people perceive you relative to Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, LeBron James?
It's hard for people to believe, but I really don't care. I moved on. So like you have a career, you do the best you can with the 20 years that I was very fortunate to play, and then you shelf it. You're done. You move on to the next thing. So now I'm focused on these next 20 years. And so those debates are entertaining, I'm sure, and it's fun for people to engage in those. But for me personally, it doesn't matter. I think the best way to explain it is I typically do not engage in things that I cannot definitively win. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's argument. Argue for what?
All right. So this is the question that I wish Greeny had followed up with, Ryan. First of all, do you believe Kobe when he says that he never competed in anything that he can't definitively win, and that at this stage, while he might hear all the talk and chatter about who's better, that he really doesn't care about if people think that he's better than LeBron or better than Michael or any of that?
Not even close. If you watch the rest of the interview, Greeny catches him up and essentially says, well, I saw you hold up those 5 rings to a fan.
Yep.
And then he goes on essentially to say, Kobe, Rick, he says, and this is real slick, this is real Kobe Bryant talk. He goes, I don't participate in things I can't definitively win.
Right.
I'm not going to get in something I can't definitively win. And if that's not like a Kobe Bryant line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what else is, Rick.
Well, here's the question that I wish Greeny had asked when he said, like, I've moved on. I don't care. I believe now that Kobe has put that in his rearview mirror. Does he have an opinion on who's the best? You need to ask that. Like, in your mind, who is the best of all time? And then the other question is, okay, so that's now. You say you've moved on. But when you were playing, did it matter? Because I believe that with Michael and Kobe, when they played, they went out there every day wanting to prove that they were the best player in the game. I agree. Once you get out of it, it's a little bit like you not really having interest in the NCAA tournament because you played in it. Like, you played in the final. You made a tournament run. You know, most of the people out there that are, you know, wild about their bracket and trying to pick the winner, it's because they're living vicariously. You experienced it. So you're like, dude, why should I get all excited about a bracket if I've actually experienced March Madness firsthand? I was in it. I get that. But I dare say Kobe cared a tremendous amount when he was still lacing them up. It's just now, why is he going to fight that battle? There's no place for him to compete. He can't respond to LeBron, whatever LeBron does next season or did this season or whenever. He's not weaponized to do anything.
No, man, but like when I tell you, like it grinds his gears. Like if you want to grind Kobe's gears, you bring up the GOAT debate, man. And I said this last night on the show. Those three guys, or any of those guys, and we're talking the Mount Rushmore of sports. Yeah. You know, outside of Kareem's taking the peaceful road. You know, when he says he doesn't care and he's humbled by it, like he's seriously humbled by it. But those guys right there, they're so competitive that it doesn't turn off. And if you want to find your way out of Kobe Bryant's house or a Mamba event or want your refund at the Mamba Academy, go ahead and say that LeBron is better. Throw in some Michael Jordan talk and see how that weighs out, okay?
Yeah.
So that argument is very much alive. It's just like, hey, do you really want to go there? Let's go there. Yeah. You know, but other than that, I hear Kobe. I'm not talking. Why are you talking on deaf ears? And that's not going away, man. The dude is too great. He's too much of a competitor. His DNA went away, man. The dude might not be playing basketball, but he's still one of the toughest guys I've ever seen, I've ever known.
Yeah. Now the other thing that Greeny asked him about was the fact that Kobe played for one team and one team only. And here's a little anecdote that Kobe had about calling Dirk Nowitzki when he was a free agent.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's different. I remember calling Dirk back when he was a free agent, and I called him. I said, Dirk, listen, I know, you're not leaving Dallas. I get it, but I got to make the call. What do you think? He says, yeah, man, you're right, bro. I'm a lifer like you, man. We don't leave. And so it's just a different philosophy about it.
So here's the thing about that is I was front and center when Kobe wanted to leave the Lakers, and he wanted to be traded to Chicago. Now, it's a little bit different in terms of he wasn't going there to join up with anybody other than, you joked about it, Luol Deng wanted Luol Deng there. And for those who may not know, I mean, whether it's Chris Paul going to the Clippers, Kobe trying to work his way to Chicago, great players, whether they're the incumbent and their guys coming in or they're going someplace else, there are conversations with the GM as far as who they want to play with and who else and that's been going on for a long time. That did not start with LeBron James coming back to Cleveland or the summer of LeBron in 2010. It was happening well before that. But I found it a little disingenuous that Kobe didn't reference the fact that there was a time where he was fed up with the Lakers, didn't think they were trying to build a championship team, didn't trust the front office, and wanted to go. Now, the reason he wanted to go to Chicago is because he was confident that they did have the DNA. They did know how to build a championship team. And he was not afraid to step into Michael's shadow. But all that said, the fact that he finished his career having played only for the Lakers wasn't because he was, as he said, a lifer with the Lakers. It was because he was able to leverage the Lakers into going to get Pau Gasol, and ultimately they smoothed things over. But there was a point at which he was very much ready to go someplace else. Now, do you hold that for you, Ryan? Do you hold that against him? Do you think that blows a hole in his claim that he's like Dirk or Reggie Miller or any of the other guys that played in only one place?
I don't think it's a knock at all. I mean, if we were honestly a fly on the wall, you'd have to believe that there were some real spats with those guys too, with the Dirks, with the Millers, where they where they even considered leaving, or they weren't always on par with the head coach.
Probably right.
You know, things that happen. This thing in LA just happened to really, really take some life, and you got to understand that Kobe and Shaq relationship was incredibly toxic. And those dudes walked on a different water than everybody else. As a matter of fact, ain't nobody else walk on water the way those dudes did when you go out and three-peat. So we're gonna pump our brakes before we say that nobody else or those other stars didn't go across those moments of leaving.
It's a good point. And Tim Duncan, we think of him as the Spur. I mean, I know that he was seriously considering going to Orlando at one point. And it was, the way the story goes, he was out to dinner and he was there with his now ex-wife. I think she was just a fiancée at the time. But he asked about, significant others traveling on the team plane. And Doc was like, oh yeah, no, absolutely not. We don't have that. And supposedly that, combined with Duncan going by Pop's house when he got back to San Antonio, were the factors that swung things San Antonio's way, and he ultimately ended up spending his entire career there, being a legacy. But yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'm sure that whether it was Reggie in Indiana or any place else, that they're like, hey, if you can't get more for me, I want up out of here. And this is why, honestly, Ryan, this is why the New Orleans Pelicans, no doubt, weren't responding immediately to AD and his disgruntlement. That because the feeling is, this has happened before. Let's find a way to make it better, because we can't replace this guy, but maybe we can satisfy him by what we do with the team. So I just feel as if today, though, it's different. Like, it's not just a threat. Guys want to go elsewhere, and maybe it's a lack of patience. Maybe they're not going to wait. Like, if you can't fix this now, if you can't fix this season, you can't fix this summer, then I'm gone. And guys are ready to push that button quicker than they were previously.
Yeah, no, I mean, players understand their value, bro. Players understand their value. They just realize, like, I'm not just happy to be in the NBA, on an organization, on a team. Like, I am the team. I am the organization. There's a lot of money that comes and goes with me that I have a say over. The guys are starting to realize I got, 10 or 12 years to play that aren't promised. Why wouldn't I be happy? Why would I stay in this city just because the fans want me to stay? Why wouldn't I go somewhere where I would enjoy my life, where I won't have regrets?
Yeah. So
that's what players now realize.
Yeah. No, agreed. And I also believe it's the money. Like, the money has become so big. It used to be with Kobe. Kobe, in going to Chicago, it was a matter of not signing the contract and showing up for training camp. And he ultimately, and I was told this at the time, I just didn't pay attention to it. When Kobe was telling me, I'm not playing for these MFers again, I believed the passion behind that. And I had people telling me, look, he's not going to turn down that money. He's not going to give up that contract. I was like, Kobe's pretty. I bought in. And then sure enough, he signed the deal and he showed up. And then ultimately they were able to make some moves, put a team around him, and he went and won 2 more championships and proved his point. All right. That's it for this episode of Bucher and Holland, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. If you enjoy the show, please drop us a rating. You've probably seen on Twitter the swag that we're giving out for those who are eligible. To be eligible, just screenshot the review and tweet it to us at Bucher Friends, and you'll be entered for a chance to win those prizes and that swag. Next podcast, Will Blackman, who is participating in the NCAA tournament, and we'll get into with him what his view is of coaches like Tom Izzo. Where do you draw the line, as well as the ongoing debate about Ben Roethlisberger, and did the Steelers put their money behind the right guy and going with Roethlisberger and moving on from Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell? That and more in the next podcast. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening.